This week on Supercars Talk, Matt Payne goes on a tear, winning the JR Trophy, and I've got a big box to open. The big news this week is that I've got my first care package from Motorfocus. So let's crack it open and see what we've got in here. Now, Motorfocus jumped on board supporting the show very recently, providing me with some models to open up and review for my collection. So definitely, if you are looking at collecting models, definitely check them out because I've had some great service from them. So let's see what we've got in here. Kicking it off, we've got some certificates of authenticity by the looks. Oh, and some stickers. I'll where should I put them? Maybe sneak one on the back of the laptop there for next week's videos. So I'll do that. I seem to have something to wear. I've got a t-shirt. We might have to do a change of outfit in a second, but the big things here, really well packed in this box. I have got myself a Ranger Raptor. I can go and tailgate everyone down the street. That's the recovery vehicle one. And this is one, people who've watched the show, my model unboxings before, the 2020 Bathurst winner. There it is on the screen. I do actually have this in the classic collectibles version. Let's get rid of that box. We'll put them up there for the moment. I do actually have this one in the classic collectibles version, but I did want to get the Bianti one because it is much better quality. So definitely keep your eyes open for a video coming up very soon where I crack these ones open. But a big shout out to Motorfocus, and with the magic of editing, I'll do a wardrobe change now. And there we are, the t-shirt fits. A little bit big for me, but you know, I've obviously been working out and losing some weight. Anyway, the actual big news this week is that Team 18 has been confirmed as the GM homologation team. Confirmation came over the weekend. They have also flagged interest in running the wildcard program for Craig Lowndes next year as well. Craig has continued, or he has re-signed with GM. He will be continuing. Where he gets placed though, nobody knows at the moment. There has been some indication that Super Cheap Auto will be following along with Craig in that capacity as well. With they want to continue the wildcard program with Craig rather than Craig just going into a team as a co-driver. The other big news this week is Nick Percat in trouble for doing skids on the track to town. So I think it was just one skid. It was not hidden or anything. Apparently last year some of the guys got in trouble for doing high speed runs during the track to town. But I know I was watching could have been on YouTube or something, where they were showing them driving through town, and right in front of the camera, Nick did a big skid. Now, I don't know whether they were told before. From what I've heard, they were told not to do high-speed runs like they were last year. I don't know if they were told specifically not to do burnouts. So if they were, I can probably understand Nick being in a bit of trouble. If they weren't, I mean, the crowd loves it. What do you expect with these kind of... I'm surprised only one guy did it. So, yeah, I'm very torn on this. Obviously, there is the health and safety kind of aspect of it, because you have got crowds very close, but also the crowds absolutely love things like that. The other big talking point coming into the weekend, of course, it's always a big talking point around here, liveries. Macaulay Jones had that Wendy's livery again, very similar to the one last year. Absolutely stunning livery. Love that one. Bryce Ford, Mr. Umami, I think it is. Wow, that orange! I thought the shore livery from the AGP was bright. That one just went to a whole new level. Love the kind of the graffiti details on it, and that just really really cool looking car. Will Hall from Authentics probably frothing over some of these liveries because even though they probably won't be massive runs, I'd say they will sell out very quickly. And the other special one for the weekend was the Groves with that Anzac appeal. Little changes to the livery, not a full livery, but yeah, those couple of changes for a really good cause. Now, over the weekend, there was some qualifying sessions and there was some confusion coming into the weekend. I know I was not the only one who'd kind of looked at the program and went, half hour of qualifying, that's a lot of qualifying, and then go, is this a multiple part qualifying or not? They didn't really tell us anything about it before the weekend. We just tuned into the telecast and even the commentators seemed to have a bit of a confusion. And then the timing totem down the side of the screen, it was showing in that first, I think it was about 10-minute session, that the bottom four were going to drop out. So I'm expecting, okay, half hour, it's a 3-part knockout qualifying session. We knock out the bottom four, knock out the next 10, when we should be doing 888, but that's an argument for a different day. And they had the red line of death, whatever, and the guys below it, greyed out, etc. And then we get to the end of the session and they're like, from 11th down is knocked out of the session. And all of a sudden you're like, well, that really changes the narrative of that whole session. Because you're kind of looking at it and you're like, the Blanchards are out and, a couple of those guys. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, like Will Brown was out of the session. Did not help that they had the timing and scoring issues there on Saturday either. But it would have been nice to just a little bit more communication before the session to know what's going on. I like to think I've got a fair idea following it and that, but even I was confused. So I can just imagine how bad it was for the casual viewer out there. Now, before I get into my rundown of the teams over the weekend, a couple of little questions that keep popping their heads up over the year. First one, are the new tyres working? Well, as far as I'm concerned, yes, they are. We had differing strategies over the weekend. In all 3 races, people seem to try different things. We had some cars kind of just going for 2 tyre stops, maybe not the best idea. Some cars going and changing 3. Maybe that wasn't choice. Maybe that was because they couldn't get a wheel off, but it still happened. And then the usual 4-stop strategies. But we also had people stopping earlier in the races, some, stopping later, some dividing it up quite equally. Some were running out of tyres very early, 888, which that was a big surprise there. Normally the tyre whisperers and they just last forever. But at least, the teams don't quite know which is the best way to go. So at the moment, they will figure it out during the year and get better at it and all kind of converge to a thing. But at the moment, we can enjoy that, a lot of people are giving things a bit of a run and trying different things. And sometimes things aren't working. So, the qualifying and that, they go down in the race, or some people are qualifying faster in the race. Talking about the racing, is the racing better? Yeah, we actually saw battles for the lead in, I think it was all 3 races. We actually saw passing for the lead on track, not just happening in pit stops. We always see battles down in the middle, back of the pack. There's always battles in the racing there. That's not a thing to worry about, but that does get a lot missed on TV. So, it might be a more exciting race than what you actually see on TV. Whereas this weekend, we definitely saw a lot of, battles all the way through the field. It was, back to absolute craziness, some of the battles in the back of the field, but we also saw some really good battles up the front of the field. My big concern here is we're starting to see quite a few drivers complaining about consistency of the penalties. There's always going to, even when it's black and white kind of, over the last few years where you touch anyone and you get a penalty kind of thing. There were still complaints about consistency when, your favourite driver seemed to get a nudge and didn't, the other driver didn't get a penalty or vice versa kind of thing. So there is always going to be complaints like that. I'm not sure at the moment, though, if it is a bit, maybe the drivers have been given a bit of a directive to kind of ham up the battles a little bit, and they're trying to artificially get a bit of needle in there, or if people are genuinely pushing that consistency narrative, because my fear with it is that we really then inflame the bookface people and things like that to get there on their keyboard and mash away and say how bad Supercars is because there isn't consistency in the rules. But on the overall picture of things, very, very happy with the racing on the weekend. There was lots of battles to watch. You can't say it was boring racing at all. And the final talking point before I get into the teams, the full course yellow rules. Still don't understand why we need to do 2 laps at, speed limited before we catch up to the safety car. If the pit lane is not big enough for everyone to double stack, etc., which it wasn't essentially, because we saw a lot of people getting blocked in and all of that kind of stuff. Well, say the rules, you can only pit 1 car each lap, because people go, oh, well, it's unfair if, your 2 cars are line astern and then someone else, they're far apart and then they can pit without having a double stack. What you've got 1 boom for 2 cars. It's all 2 by 2 by 2. 1 car pits 1 lap, 1 car pits the second lap. If you want to pit the second car first, go ahead, but you can only pit 1 car on each lap if we're going to have this stupid 2-lap rule thing, because the way we were watching it, it's like, Matt Payne is in a whole world of pain here because he didn't stop. And the next thing he stops and he's out in the lead, no worries. And you're like, well, that's not right. I just like it a bit more simple, If the safety car has to come out, close the pits because it's out there for safety, and it's not safe cruising around for, 2 laps or 5 odd minutes it probably was before you can actually get any safety crews out there. But anyway, I'll be complaining about this for the rest of time, I think. So now on to my rundown of the teams. I'm going to try something a little bit more short and sharp this week because I mean, we've probably all watched the racing, so we're not here for a blow-by-blow thing. So, quick little rundown of my thoughts on each of the teams. I'll have the results of theirs up there as well. So if you want to, really get into the results, you can pause it and, have a look at those. But kicking it off once again, no surprises here, Blanchard Racing Team. What is the point? They locked out the back row every race. They didn't even, it wasn't like, they just didn't have pace in qualifying and then they were there in the races. They didn't race forward. Yeah, I can see what the point is. They're racers. They want to go out and do it. But, the slight little glimmer of hope that they had was where Courtney, I think they'd actually only changed 2 tyres, so got a little bit of a jump in the race. But then essentially, he was just the trolley train. He was causing the trolley train out there. Late 90s, early 2000s F1. If you're around then, you'd understand that reference. As soon as one guy got past, everyone else came past and it was all done and dusted. We will give Aaron Cameron a little bit more leeway because he is new to the category and did out-qualify James on 2 of the occasions. But when you're locking out the black row, who cares who's first or second in the team? Next up, we've got the BJRB team. A real middle of the road weekend for these guys, which is pretty good for them. There is now a chasm between these guys and the Blanchards. While these guys are kind of knocking on the heels of Erebus, the Blanchards are just, they're in their own, like when we have Formula 1, Formula 1.5, and then the Blanchards kind of thing. We've got kind of supercars and then the Blanchards. They're just in their own little, battle. Anyway, Macaulay had the only DNF of the weekend. Crank angle sensor issue reminds me, I had flashbacks. If anyone else owned a VL back in the early 2000s, yeah, you'd know about crank angle sensor issues as well. So, yeah, one of mine had particular issues with crank angle sensors. And as you can see, it still gets me to this day. Stopped out on track, caused a safety car. But yeah, overall, a pretty reasonable result for these guys. And also, Brad was very adamant he wants to run 4 cars. He's going to Toyota. He's going to run 4 cars. His model does not work with 2 cars. Anyone suggesting that, they'll magically be better if they only run 2 cars, it's not going to happen. Having said that, you watch the announcement next week that Brad sold his team to someone, and first thing is they're offloading 2 of the licenses, or the Smiths are going to have to go and find their own thing to do. But that's one of the other problems with that. The 4th license is not owned by Brad Jones, so if he runs a 2-car team, you've got to also either get the Smiths to sell with that 3rd one to go somewhere else, or he goes to a 3-car, a 2-car plus the Smith model, which then leaves a 1-car, which is, it doesn't work. Brad's staying with 4 cars. Erebus. Okay, so Cooper is showing heaps of speed. That is great. But he seems to be involved in an incident in every race. Now, not all of these are his fault, but at some point you have to look at yourself and go, why am I the one being involved in all of these incidents, even if they're not my fault? Some people have really, really good situational awareness of what's going on around them and don't seem to get themselves involved in incidents, or if they do, you end up on the better side of it most of the time. Chaz Mostert is probably the best one at that in the field at the moment. Usually he doesn't end up second best. Usually he's the one spinning around another car or the one getting in front. Yes, he is a rookie, etc. But this is probably one of my criticisms with him even in his Super 2 campaign, that he did seem to, like Darwin last year, perfect example of that. Puts car, 5th on the grid, but then, involved in first lap incident. So you've kind of wasted all of that. Funnily enough, this was a big criticism I had of Jack LeBrock a few years ago, and he's turned it around. So Cooper, the speed is there. I mean, he is blown me away with how quick he actually is this year in that Erebus car, but he, really needs to tidy up those results, tidy up that kind of racing so that he can actually get some results on board. Premier Air Racing, super soft race. I've got an idea. Let's change 2 tyres only so we get out a couple of seconds faster. What could go wrong? It's easy playing Monday quarterback, but sometimes, you save 3 seconds and lose an eternity. At least Ludo had a crack on a different strategy. It's not like they were going to win the race or win a championship or anything anyway. So, at least he had a crack, and we've got something to talk about with him this week. Team 18. So I really thought Anton had taken the easy way out going to the retirement home of Team 18 rather than taking on the challenge of Brody Kostecki at DJR. Well, he's been my revelation of the year. He's going to be leading the homologation team next year. Leading the homologation team. I expected, Anyway, rounds, another weekend to forget. And now I expect the pressure will be on him because General Motors will be looking for a name driver or a star driver to put in the homologation team. Anton's done, at the moment, he's doing everything to say, I am the one to be there. Dave, definitely not right now. Brad Jones Racing A team. Brycey seems to be off playing with B team right now. Jaime is racing forward in every race. Now, if he could qualify better, would he finish even higher up in the races? Or is where he raced to, kind of the level where they're at. If he could sort out qualifying, we'd find out an answer to that question. Matt Stone Racing. Did you guys, when you packed up the container to go over to New Zealand, did you pack the jet that Nick Percat had at the Grand Prix, or did you pack the bag of bolts that he was racing at Sydney? He was just doing burnouts and then going nowhere all weekend. I think he had a dash issues in the final race and there was smoke coming out of the car and all. Anyway, Cam Hill, he showed that the Grand Prix was no fluke. He's in the game. 7th in the championship now. 7th from Cam Hill and MSR. He was even leading the race early in race 3. There was probably a little bit of luck involved, but he'd qualified spectacularly well. You have to consider he was the leading guy that didn't have greens for that final, for the top 10 shootout. And it was 4th on the grid, I think it was. He was leading at the end of the first lap. It was probably a little bit lucky, but he was in that position and he also didn't get himself tangled up in the battle and he had a great start, etc., etc. The newly minted husband is just going from strength to strength this year. Grove Racing. Well, Kai Allen, he is a rookie, so we can forgive him for going missing in the odd qualifying session or race. Yet he's learning. He's not tearing up equipment. He's doing a really, really good job. He's looking quite solid. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year battle by the looks of things. Matthew Payne. The old Max Payne. We expected him to, destroy a lot of things. And, Anyway, this weekend, he really, really turned up. Another level. I expected him to be the leading Kiwi contender over the weekend. He won the whole thing, took home the J.R. Richards Trophy. Just a spectacular weekend from Matty Payne. If he can keep this up, he's definitely going to be a threat come the finals because can he turn it up for the big events? He's going really well. The only real blot on the copybook all weekend was that start issue in race 2. Other than that, just a really, really solid weekend. I'm expecting big things, Matt. Dick Johnson Racing. Brady Kostecki is definitely back. He qualified on the front row all weekend with 2 of them being pole positions. He was fastest in Sunday morning qualifying and then backed it up in the top 10 shootout. If he didn't get himself involved in some of the dust-ups over the weekend, he would have definitely challenged Payne for the JR Trophy. There's no doubt he's going to be in the mix come the finals, and I think that's definitely what they're aiming for. They're just going from strength to strength each weekend, and he'll just iron everything out. And, he probably already... him and George are a very, very smart team. They're going to realise as long as they're in the top 10 after Bathurst, they're fine, they're good to go. So that's what they'll be working towards. They won't be too concerned about winning every battle as long as they win the war at the end of the year. They'll iron out. He won't get involved in those silly little incidents spinning Randall around and getting a 15-second penalty at the end of the year. But he's got a little bit of, leeway to play with at the moment. He's 5th or 6th in the championship. It's fine for the moment. Davo as well got himself back on the podium this weekend. Shows that there is some new tricks in this old dog. Is that there's still fight in the old dog. I fully expect that he will play a part in the finals the way he's going because he'll as well go from strength to strength as they learn the package throughout this year. Walkinshaw and Dreddy United. Consistency is not the key. It's easy to forget that Chaz actually had a win over the weekend. Because he dropped down position in the championship hunt. They, like with Brody and George, Chaz realises that the end goal is to be in the top 10 come Bathurst, and then it's all to play for over the final 3 rounds. So that's their ultimate goal, and I think they're fairly settled that they're going to be in that 10 somewhere. The win was probably slightly fortuitous considering, he was behind, and then Brodie had his misstep sliding into the pit wall when they came up for that. I think it was the second stop in the race, or was it the only stop in that race? The only stop in that race. Anyway, and then they had that battle, probably a little bit borderline. I know Brodie wasn't happy with it, but he'll get over it. He'll get him back at some point. Just needs a little bit more consistency. Ryan Wood, another revelation of the weekend. He was right in the fight. He was looking really strong quite a lot of the time. He was actually the leading WAU car. He has broken the curse of car number 2, where you can't get results from it. First podium in front of his home crowd. He had that aggressive pass on Brodie in race 3. It's just, he's just, the sophomore season, is that what it's called, the second season? He's just showing all the signs that he was a great from Super 2 last year. Was probably slow on the ramp, but the progression this year, he's just skyrocketing. Tickford Racing. Cam took the lead after the first race on Saturday. He then drops back to second. Now, Brown didn't have a good weekend, so it didn't matter so much that Cam had the weekend that Cam had, but where's that consistency and speed that he had in Sydney? They're another one probably just playing to win at the end of the year, but if you can't turn up every weekend, well, you'll drop out the first round of the finals probably. Thomas Randall, he's definitely getting his elbows out more and more. There's lots of speed there. Now he's got a bit of fight in him, a bit more aggression. I've been critical with him being a little bit too soft in the past. Yeah, he's getting his elbows out, probably getting himself in some incidents that are costing him a bit of time at the moment, but at least he's getting a bit of aggression with that speed. It probably won't all play out this year, unfortunately, for Thomas, but it will put him in good stead for next year and the future. And finally, still the team's championship leaders, Triple Eight. I suppose the best thing out of this weekend, it does add spice to the championship when they don't just go out and dominate. When they seem a little bit lost, it does help. But then the others have got to, take advantage of it, with Matt Payne actually being the best one taking advantage of it, jumping up in the championship, actually stealing that fourth, Feeney down to fourth, Payne up to third in the championship. This weekend was the first time that Triple Eight hasn't had a podium since about 1975, I reckon. It feels like it's been that long since they've had a weekend like this. Probably the most surprising thing was how badly they were chewing the tyres in the super soft race there on Saturday. Usually these guys, they start off a little bit slow and you're like, maybe someone else is in with a bit of a look. And then everyone else peels into the pits, and then they go and just do a heap of fastest laps and then pull out about 15 seconds in front of everyone. And then they decide to turn it on when they've got new tyres on. This weekend, Will Brown was actually the first to pit because his tyres were shot. They weren't on an alternative strategy. He just had no tyres left. It will be interesting to see how they bounce back from this in Tasmania. So that's it for my Taupo review. Massive shout out to Motorfocus for my new threads and my care package of models. Keep an eye out. There will be an unboxing video very soon. I have one in the bag already that will be out this Friday, but those ones will be featuring in the next unboxing video, so you definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you are looking for model cars, jump on their website. The details are below, and you can get your pre-orders there. $15 flat rate shipping all over Australia, etc, etc. Jump on it. Discounts if you join the Collectors Club, and it is free to join the Collectors Club as well. Thumbs up on that one. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know what you thought of the racing over the weekend. And until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.